I would like to introduce David Bobbitt. David is president of SCORE Foundation, and I'm sure part of his presentation will be to explain for those who are new what SCORE Foundation is versus SCORE Association, which is what the chapter's part of. So, David.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to use the microphone a little bit, but I have a pretty big voice, so I may put it down at points. Thank you for allowing me to be here today, Sally. Thank you, mentors, and thank you for everything that you do. The worst thing to have somebody show up at a SCORE chapter and say is, I'm from National and I'm here to help, right? That was funny. No complaint. And the second worst thing to say anywhere is, I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm here to help. So both are true in my case, but hopefully we'll have some help today. Now I got to work on the jokes, or y'all got to work on the laughs. Okay, how many of you have seen this before? Have you seen our value statement? Wow. I thought this was one of the top 12 chapters in the country, and so this is going to be a long morning. No. So this is our value statement as an organization. These words have been around for a long time. This graphic treatment of them is pretty new, and maybe organizing the words in this way. Everybody share with me the one right in the center at the top. Clients matter. Our client success is our success. Is that true? Sure. I think that's true. After 22 years, do you still love mentoring, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yep. How many of you love mentoring? Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. So client success is our success. Do you remember where you were at Lehman Brothers when Lehman Brothers crashed in 2008? Do you remember that week? Do you remember what that was like? Did you know that every job that has been created in our society since then has been created in businesses with 500 or fewer employees, what the SBA calls small businesses? Let that sink in for a second. That means that since that day, for every job that's been made in a corporation, a big corporation with more than 500 employees, one has been removed. There's been a zero net. Our client success is great because it is a driving force in the success of our society. And I believe the stakes of what you do, I'm talking about this side of the room, from that doorway on over, could not be higher. So actually, I'm not here from National to help or from Washington, D.C. to help. I'm here to say thank you and to tell you a little bit about what the foundation does to try to help you achieve what we need to achieve to make a difference in our clients' lives and work. The values across the bottom, I won't read all of these, mostly because my eyesight is failing. Lifelong learning matters. We're certainly an organization that's focused on learning. Diversity matters. We're an organization that is becoming more diverse and certainly serves a very diverse client community. Relationships matter. How many of you have a client who's been with you for more than 2 years? A lot of folks in the room. How many of you have had a client come back to you with a new business or a new challenge or opportunity, old business? Even more hands up for that one. Yeah. That's because of relationships, right? Experience matters. We have too many people here, and I know we're focused on time, but I bet if we went around and added up the years of business experience in this room, we have centuries of experience in marketing, centuries of experience in finance, centuries of experience in starting businesses, in M&A. That's an amazing level of experience that gets shared with our clients. You're one of our strongest chapters, for sure. I hope you know that. But we have 11,400 mentors, just like the people in this room, all over the country doing that every day. And I'm humbled to be part of it. That is thousands of years of business experience that comes to bear to help people on this high-stakes, important work that we're doing. Volunteers matter. That's all of you, right? We have 26 paid staff in this entire organization. We couldn't get much done if we didn't have volunteers. Giving back matters. This is where the foundation comes into play. So at the SCORE Foundation, we're really focused on the opportunity for folks to give to the organization, right? Most of that's corporate America, and I'll talk to you about some specifics of that. But you're all giving back. Why do you volunteer? You give back to our society. It's a pretty incredible thing. We want to be the vehicle for giving back. And small business matters. That's the first one on the list. So the stakes could not be more high, and what the work that you're doing could not be more important. And I'm here to say thank you for that. Let me talk a little bit logistically real quick about the SCORE Association and the SCORE Foundation. I'm going to ask you some questions. Can anybody tell me the difference between the SCORE Association and the SCORE Foundation? Anybody know?
Fundraising and operations.
Beg pardon?
Fundraising and operations.
Fundraising and operations, yeah, sure. One kind of sits in one and one sits in the other. I'm thinking about a more fundamental difference. We're separate corporations to begin with. We're both 501c3 nonprofit corporations. The SCORE Association was chartered by Congress almost 52 years ago. Who are members of the SCORE Association? Anybody know? Who are the members? Sally? The chapters are members. That's exactly right. You already know the answer. When you're a ringer. When I do this at chapters frequently, I hear people say, oh, we're the members. No, you're not. Your chapter's a member. We have about 320 members in the association. So about 20, not quite 20 years ago, Congress and SCORE's leadership at the time had a conversation and said, wouldn't it be great if other folks gave to this organization besides the federal government? So we set up a foundation. A foundation, for the first few years it existed, probably didn't do much of anything. About 10 years ago, a guy was hired named Mark Dobish. Some of you may have gotten to know him, got to work with him. He did a great job. He grew the foundation from zero to raising about $1.7 million a year. So I started the SCORE Foundation 2 years ago in December. I've been the president since then. We've grown the foundation since then. I'll talk to you a little bit about the numbers, which is pretty exciting. My background is I've been a fundraiser for about 17 years. Along the way, I've run fundraising for the biggest kidney disease charity in America and the biggest nonprofit hospice in America. I've also run a couple small businesses. I ran a technology business that was successful for a period of time, and then Lehman Brothers happened. And I ran a business consulting, a revenue consulting business. My two largest clients for that were a new university in Florida, Florida Polytechnic University, the 12th public university in the state, and the New York Genome Center, which has actually become the largest genomic sequencing and bioinformatics facility in the U.S. I'm real proud I got to help start those organizations. So kind of I get to wear two hats in my life, right? Startup businesses and fundraising. So being part of SCORE pulls both of those passions together for me. In the time I've been at SCORE, I'll tell you what I've seen about this organization that amazes me is the culture. You know, we have people like you who care so much about small business and give back. A lot of folks are retired. Some folks are still working. But the culture we built as an organization is unique, right? I was telling Sally earlier, can you imagine going to a SCORE chapter and ordering people to do anything? This many type A's in the room? We have a different culture than that. We've practiced influence with each other, right? Can you imagine going into an organization, this organization, and having a really bad idea or a poorly formed one? Yeah, it didn't work. I mean, even when you have a good idea, you'll have people who pick it apart and who say, we can do that better, we can improve that. And it's a neat culture at SCORE, but it's a really good culture because we demand excellence. We demand that people work hard and produce, right? And I like being part of this organization. So back to my question I asked earlier, the association and the foundation. The association, because it's chartered by Congress, lives under some specific rules, particularly about what it can do with money. Every dollar that goes into the association is treated as federal money for auditing purposes. The foundation really doesn't live within that house. We don't have those rules. We have the same rules that any other 501c3 faces, but we don't have these audit issues. And so by not commingling funds, we get a lot more flexibility in the foundation. I'll give you some examples. The association can't purchase alcohol. So if we go out to dinner and you want to take Union Bank out to dinner and thank them for the generous support for your chapter, you can't buy them a glass of wine unless you do it out of your pocket, but you do it with foundation money. If you hold a chapter event and you want to serve beer and thank everybody who served in this chapter for a while, again, it has to be foundation money. Our reporting issues are pretty substantial. The foundation would just go through a regular audit, just like any other nonprofit would go through. The association goes through a much more extensive audit because it's federal money. It's viewed as federal money, everything that comes through. So the foundation gives us some opportunities to be more flexible. And we push through the foundation all the money that comes in from corporations, individuals, and foundations to SCORE, to national. So we don't have to deal with that commingling issue. Does that make sense to everybody? Our donor base really is mostly corporate America. About 90% of the money comes in from corporations. Walmart Foundation, Sam's Club, that's our largest individual donor right now, largest corporate donor. We have a lot of other companies that give to us, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let me ask you another question. What do all of these companies have in common?
I won't answer.
Don't. Yes, sir.
Take a guess.
Paul? What did you say?
I suspect that they all contribute to the foundation.
No, not true.
SCORE mentors.
What was that? Say again?
SCORE mentors.
Ah, exactly right. Every one of these companies, these are brands I hope you recognize, started with the help of a SCORE mentor. So when I said earlier that all the magic happens on that side of the room, be proud of this. I don't know if you know all of these stories. Vera Bradley. Vera Bradley is actually not the name of the founder. Her name is Barbara Bradley Beckgard. 37 years ago, almost 38 years ago now, she got a $500 loan from her former husband to start a purse company in Florida. And it was apparently a failure from day one. She had no idea what to do. And she heard about this organization called SCORE. She reached out, and 2 mentors met with her and helped her do everything, from figuring out her supply chain and she originally hired housewives who had extra time on their hands to sit at home and sew purses. That's how the company got started. But she only figured that out because SCORE Mentor helped her figure that out. Anyway, it's a long story, but it's a really interesting story. Vera Bradley was her mom. She named the company after her mother. $190 million in sales last year worldwide. Majority of their sales are actually outside the U.S. right now. Started with the SCORE Mentor. Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's is, do we have Raising Cane's here? You don't have Raising Cane's. So Raising Cane's is a fried chicken company. I'm from the South, right? This is a restaurant. And so these are 2 young men who went to LSU, Louisiana State University. It's $10 in it if you make me thinner in that picture, by the way, young lady. Thank you. The photographer's over here taking my picture. Okay. They went to LSU and they wrote a paper in their final business class to start a new fried chicken company. And the business professor gave them like a B- on the paper and said, look, this is the South. We have KFC, we have Chick-fil-A, we have Zaxby's, we have Popeyes. We do not need another fried chicken, sweet iced tea, and a roll company, okay? What a waste of your time. Nonetheless, these 2 guys didn't give up. One of them actually went to work in Alaska in the salmon fishing industry to make a lot of money really quickly. It's a way if you have a strong back and you don't throw up easily, I guess, from fish guts, I don't know. You make a lot of money really fast. So he did that. He came back home to Louisiana, and he decided to start this business. And he went and met with a SCORE mentor in our Baton Rouge chapter. And the mentor had the same thought the business professor did. It's a dumb idea. There are a lot of people competing in this space already. But he did. What does Slate tell us? What's the S in Slate? Suspend judgment. Yeah, suspend your disbelief. That's exactly what he did. He said, I may think this is a stupid idea. Who's the guy in the back who said he loves dreamers? So this guy loved his dreamers enough to say, you know what? I may not think this is a good idea, but I'm going to walk you through the process. That's exactly what he did. So this year, most of their growth has happened since 2008, since Lehman Brothers. This year, they will open their 250th location. They just opened their first location in Dubai. This is their first international location outside the Western Hemisphere. These 2 guys have done pretty well selling fried chicken, sweet tea, and a roll. And they attribute it back to their SCORE mentor. Chili started in Dallas with the help of a SCORE mentor, out in with shoes in New York. It was actually not a startup. This is one of our in-business businesses. Family started the shoe company in New York, and when the patriarch passed away, his son did not want to inherit the company. Alan Evans was the patriarch. When the son inherited it, he had no desire to run the shoe company, and he was kind of stuck with it. Didn't know what to do. What did he do? He called a SCORE mentor. So I tell you this because earlier I told you the stakes could not be higher. I wanted to give you some concrete examples. And I also want to talk to you about our culture again. Why is our culture so important? Because our culture lets things like this happen, right? The seeds you're planting today, I believe, will blossom into organizations like this in the future. And there are probably more stories like this that we just don't know about, frankly. But I know sometimes you get frustrated. The client doesn't show up. The business idea is not a great idea, you think. It's like the fried chicken and roll, right? Sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's the greatest thing in the world. And that's okay. That happens at any time, in any organization. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember how high the stakes are, and remember you're part of an effective organization that helps a lot of people and has a great track record of success. That's really important. Why do I tell you this today also? Because that's my job. I tell success stories about clients working with SCORE mentors. That's the primary reason people give to this organization, individuals, corporations, and foundations. So here's our brag sheet. These are some of our national partners. I won't go through all of these with you. How many of you read the quarterly foundation newsletter? Yeah, nobody. Okay. Please start reading the quarterly foundation newsletter. Sally, thank you. This is an editorial completely aside. You were talking earlier about your chapter. So at least from National's perspective, this is one of the strongest chapters ever. And from my personal perspective, Sally and Rod Beans before are 2 of my favorite leaders in SCORE I've ever gotten to work with. So I think y'all are privileged to have Sally as a leader. I think you're privileged to have Rod as a leader. And I work with a lot of chapters and have met a lot of our chairs and presidents. That's unique about y'all. Your leader is the president. Most of our chapters' leader is the chairman. Okay, so when the newsletter comes out, and it'll come out again on Friday of this week, there will be a list of all the corporate partners and what, if anything, they do to interact with chapters. And I'll kind of give you a high-level overview. Some of our partners, like let's say Google, that's a good example. They don't really do much with chapters. They don't have the bandwidth. They have 2 people who run their kind of small business unit. They give us money. They help with NLC, our National Leadership Conference. They support some content we do on the website. They don't really interact with chapters. They don't have any desire to. Others, paychecks, On Deck Capital, even Sam's Club. They'd love to connect on the local level with chapters. And so my job is to try to bring these partnerships on board, and then to the extent that they connect locally with chapters, we try to do that. But the number one thing we actually do with national corporate partners is we create content on our website. SCORE.org gets about 400,000 visitors a month. The vast majority of them are small business owners with questions about small business. And so a big part of our work at the foundation is to convert them. We want them to become clients. We want them to come see you. Nationwide, our conversion, about 16% of our clients first come in from the website. It's our front door. I want a nice front door. I want it to be welcoming. I want it to have good, useful information. I want it to have content that folks will find helpful in their business, can answer questions, can solve problems. And frankly, I don't want to use the federal money to do that. It's the federal money y'all need at the chapter level. So I go out and get corporate America to fund that. That's the biggest thing they fund. There are other things the foundation does. Constant contact. Do you use constant contact in the chapter? Absolutely. So we manage that relationship. They give us the software for free every year. There's a financial donor to it. They're a great partner. I don't know if you know, but Constant Contact's just been sold, actually. They were purchased by basically like a private investment group. They're taking the company private. So it's going to be a change there. But at least for the next year, we think we'll have them on board as our partner for email marketing. How many of you have been in SCORE Awards or the National Leadership Conference? You've attended either one of those. Great. Did you enjoy it? Hands stay up if you enjoyed it. Yeah, nice. Thank you. Big thing we raise money for. Conference is really important because it's how we share our culture across the organization. In my experience, there's almost no problem any chapter has to deal with that another chapter hasn't already solved at some point. In particular, our large chapters. Y'all are so sophisticated and capable. It's really our opportunity to share that information across the organization. So that's why we run the national conference. Sally mentioned earlier we've had a big increase in our federal budget for the first time in a long time, which is pretty incredible. That all came out of the foundation's work because we're the only people who can lobby the federal government. Another restriction on that commingling issue, you can't use federal money to lobby the federal government. So the association can't lobby. All of our lobbying activities happen out of the foundation. And so glad that $2.5 million has come in and, spend it all at the chapter level. Spend that money and help small businesses. That's really important. Simple steps to start your business. Y'all use the workbooks on this, and I believe you're going to use the Spanish language workbooks on this. This is one of several seminars that we've created. So the seminars, when we create this product, we distribute it nationwide. This is actually more helpful for small chapters than for your chapters, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on it. But we create all the training materials, so chapters can then use this to help small businesses in their community and get people to first connect with SCORE, right? This is an entry point to seminars. We have other seminars too, but simple steps. Y'all are going to do it in Spanish this year, I think?
We are.
You are? So next year, I can tell you, we're getting the workbook printed as well in Mandarin Chinese, Hindi, which is the most common language of India, and Korean. Those are the 3 top languages after Spanish that our clients speak nationwide. It's their primary language at home, the first language they learned. We're doing this not because our small business owners who come from another society don't speak English. They do. They read and write in English, do great. We're doing this because people tend to learn best in the language they learned first. And so this is a great way for people to really get the information, understand it, and keep it. Also, frankly, it's a great way to signal to our community that we value diversity. Who do we serve, right? We serve everybody at SCORE. 12.5% of our clients last year were veterans. How many people in the room is a veteran? How many of you have served in the military? Thank you for your service. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Thank you for your service. I think it's great to be part of an organization that helps veterans. Last year, nationwide, our client base was 32% racial and ethnic minorities. That's a number that's been growing in a proportion of our client services. 56% of our clients were women. For 3 years in a row, the majority of our clients as an organization have been women. So it's important that we send a signal that we're that kind of organization, that we want to help everybody, no matter who they are, no matter where you come from. SCORE will help you. I'll talk about a couple more projects, and you tell me how we are on time, so I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for questions. Okay, let me move quickly. We did the SCORE Awards. How many of you have had a SCORE Award winner? All right, this is our top award as an organization. Send me your best clients. Get your pen out and write down championship.score.org. I'll write it up here as well. championship.score.org. Both of our biggest competitions were running off of this website this year. The applications are up right now, and we'll take applications through February the 12th. The SCORE Awards, we recognize 10 to 12 of our top small businesses in the U.S. every year. We give them a marketing video, but the thing they really got out of this is a ton of PR. Last year, the winners collectively got something like 166 million media impressions off of winning this award. This gets local and national press. It does great things for the sales of the business. So it's also a great recognition. If you have a small business, it's wonderful. We'll bring you on stage and give you an award as well as them in Washington, D.C., September the 15th at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The U.S. Chamber has partnered with us for the last 2 years to help make this event happen. At the same time, at championship.score.org, your small business can apply for the American Small Business Championship. This is a contest we run with Sam's Club. We choose 102 small businesses, approximately 2 from each state in the District of Columbia, to receive $1,000 in Sam's Club gift card. And then we have a second round competition this year where among that 102 in June, we'll select one small business to win $25,000. So if you have a great small business with a really compelling story that can use $1,000 or $25,000, please have them apply for it. I'd love to have the winner be a SCORE client this year. This first contest is only open to SCORE clients. The second one's open to any small business, but obviously we want SCORE clients to apply for the second one. I won't go through the whole list here, but this is something else. If you look at the newsletter, you'll find out. Yes, ma'am? 5 minutes. These are other activities we do with other partners that I won't go into here, but you can find the newsletter that comes out on Friday. Chapter and regional accounts, you know about these. You have a chapter account. And many of our chapters do. We now have 30 chapters in 3 districts that have chapter accounts with the foundation. This is that commingling issue. This means you can put money in the foundation, and it's not viewed as federal money. It's not held in the association. It's just a flexibility we've created. And we appreciate that this chapter and other chapters have invested that money with the foundation. It's your money. It sits there until you need it, until the chapter chair wants it back. We can't spend it. Our bylaws, I cannot spend it. It has to be the chapter chair. Well, we're in the new fiscal year right now. I should probably update this slide. Some more community events. We have a new seminar we're rolling out nationwide called Landscape of Lending. And I think actually today, later on, you're going to go through one component of that, which is it's the on-deck toolkit for figuring out, So later on today, we'll talk about this more. Yes, sir?
Go back. What's the advantage of putting our money in
Yeah. So it's not commingled for federal purposes. It's not viewed as federal money, number one. Number two, you don't have to do a Form 3 on it. So the money, you don't have to worry about reporting it. It doesn't go into any of those reports because the foundation doesn't do the Form 3 reporting or participate in the federal audit. Because it's not commingled, I think the third thing is you have more flexibility. You can use it to purchase alcohol if you need to do that. You can also use it to do prizes. So a lot of our chapters have like an annual contest where they'll pick the best small business of the year or the best business plan, and they'll give that business, say, $1,000.
So we can write a check against that money that's in the foundation.
We write the check. You don't have a checking account, but basically, yeah, use a Form 14F. But for that last one, that's important because you cannot use federal money from the association to give money to any client. That's prohibited by federal law. It could actually end us up in prison. It's a bad thing. So we have to do that through the foundation. That's a great question. Any more questions before I go on? I just want to make sure we keep moving ahead in time. Landscape of Lending, so it's a great new seminar we'll be rolling out nationwide. We've already started. Again, we'll continue to do web content and focus on client conversions out of people who visit us on the web. Slate 2.0, we've gotten this completely funded. That's funded by Deluxe Corporations, our training and orientation program for all volunteers. The Volunteer Center. How many of you use the Volunteer Center? That's a pretty big proportion. How many of you love using the Volunteer Center? Thank you for telling the truth. No, y'all didn't tell the truth. Volunteer Center is a mess. It's really hard to work with. So I mentioned that we've grown the foundation. Last year we had about a $2.4 million year. And so when the foundation succeeds, in the grand scheme of things, that's not huge, but we've grown it about 40% since I've been here. When the foundation succeeds, I roll off unrestricted money that I can invest in other things. So one of the first things I'm investing in is a new volunteer center. There's so much good content we have and so much good stuff developed at the chapters. The volunteer center ought to be a place where we can share that with each other nationwide. And it's really not right now. It's very hard to find. They're dead links. The search function doesn't work very well. So anyway, we have issued an RFQ. We have a couple of folks who are going to rebuild the new volunteer center for us. And if any of you really have a passion for this kind of stuff, let me know or Amanda know at the national headquarters, because we actually want a work group of volunteers who will help us build this volunteer center, folks who can advise us on it. But that's exciting and something we're able to do because we've raised more money. Piloting client engagement activities. So we have a lot of former clients. And as an organization, we don't use this resource very much. But Sally's agreed San Diego is going to be one of the chapters that's going to help me pilot this. We're going to do this around your 50th anniversary coming up. Basically, I'm going to put some money into that event and invite former clients to come, just to help them reconnect with the organization. Former clients are a resource for all of us, right? A great way to get out the story, their success stories. Their success is our success. Great way to connect with folks who can become new mentors. Great way to find new markets for us to enter. So lots of good things can come out of connecting with former clients. Okay. So one of my favorite cartoons. Two ministers are talking. One guy says to the other one, I've always told my people you can't take it with you, but Harry must not have been listening. You'll hear me talk this year about plan giving because of that commingling issue. Every year we have 0, 1, or 2 mentors who pass away, and I'm very sad. I want every one of our mentoring to 100 and beyond. But when they pass away and they leave money to SCORE National or the chapter in their will, it's important that they say SCORE Foundation. Because of that commingling issue, it will create a real mess for your heirs or your family if you want to leave money to the chapter or national or both, and you put SCORE Association. So the thing you're going to hear me say over and over again is, if you have SCORE in your will, make sure it's SCORE Foundation, not SCORE Association. If you want to mess with your family and create lots of trouble for them, put SCORE Association. But if you don't want to do that, which I hope you don't, put SCORE Foundation. And so I'm running out of time. Sally has stood up. The other big initiative we're doing is I've invested $100,000 of foundation money in starting 5 new chapters, including one in San Gabriel Valley here in California. So as an organization, we used to have more than 400 chapters, and we've gone through a period where we've consolidated and closed chapters. Our number of mentors has actually remained fairly constant during that time period. But we're a growing and expanding organization. There are parts of the country we don't cover right now. So we selected these based on need. These are communities that are growing, where we don't currently have a SCORE chapter, and I've invested foundation funds in building our organization into adding chapters. How can you help? Well, I'll take 1 minute to say this. Number one, keep doing a great job. What you're doing makes all the difference. I mean that sincerely. When those organizations and individuals who give to the foundation, who give to SCORE do so, they do so because of the success stories that you've created, because of the successes you've built. So keep doing a great job. Give if you can. Give to the chapter, give to national if you can, please do so. And be an advocate and an ambassador. And what that means is when things are going well, when things are going right, tell people about it. When things aren't going well, when things aren't going right, tell the person who can fix it. Let me know, let Ken Yancey know, let Sally know.
First.
But most of all, tell people you're part of SCORE. The best thing about this organization is all of you. I mean that sincerely. And I think the more people get to know SCORE mentors and the success of our clients, the more people will recognize what an incredible organization this is.